Greetings, folks. Do you remember the first time you were in love? When the mere sight of your loved one caused your heart to leap and you could feel a lump in your throat when they eventually had to leave you? I don't, because I spent my entire childhood learning the name of every Pokemon of Generation 1. Wait, we have 9 now? Damn, I'm old. Oh well, I wasted my life. On to the build. This is the strongest build I played so far. Yes, even more than a mage. We reach over 3000 physical damage on this thing, and frankly, the sky's the limit. You could go higher if you feel like grinding for more upgrades. I have re-recorded the entire gameplay for 1.5 since I've been sitting on this one for a while. It's a full Berserker build, no dots, no red death, nothing too complicated, just a lot of life. And even at our lowest point, we still have more HP than most builds. In my original idea, I wanted to make people go around with 1 HP, where you would be afraid of a small jump or to stumble in a small rock. However, that was a stupid idea. If you feel, however, the damage is too strong, you can easily nerf yourself, don't worry. Just unequip all gear and run around naked with an axe. You'll have a completely different experience. A special thanks to Lamper7725. I totally didn't consider the Skarren mask as a possible item, and yes, Thornsword is absolutely the best way to manage your HP on this build, and you should always carry that sword around. For more builds, check the description, you'll find a link to my playlist. If you enjoyed this video, you can help me out by leaving a like and maybe even subscribing for more gaming content. I will really appreciate it. However, a warning, this is an Act 3 build, so just level up as a normal warrior or whatever, then get the Titanium Tonic, pop yourself an Origin Potion and stack those HP. Why? Because even with the bonuses for playing low life, if you just stack HP during your leveling, you will have not many ways to transform those in damage. You could try to go with Iron Light, which is the two-handed sword from Lancelot. However, I did not come around to test that on a low life setup yet. Let's begin. Let's talk about attributes. This build doesn't need to be level 70 to work, however, you need to be in Act 3. Because our most important items come from Act 3 and Act 2. We stack Endurance. Stacking Endurance is good for several reasons. First of all, thanks to our Inner Strength perk, we convert any point of Endurance in melee damage. Then of course, Strength. Our minimum requirement for this build is gonna be 13 Strength. Dexterity and Perception are mainly up to you, and the second weapon that you use. If you do not use Crimson Oracle, then you need to look at the requirement of the weapon that you're planning to use. Just make a save file if you want to mess around. 5 points of Practicality are minimum requirement to use our back item. If you plan to change item that I suggested in your build, you will need to adjust your stats, because otherwise you will be very short on crit or have very low HP. Okay, let's look at our perks. We're gonna start out in one-handed 3. Let's max Agile Fighter, Unending Assault, 2 points in Ambidextrous, Adaptive Combat. Be careful, Adaptive Combat will only work out if you have one other weapon that is not an axe. I do not suggest to play this build with 2 axes. However, if you want to play this with 2 axes, then of course you will put a point in Symmetrical Combat for more attack speed, 3 points in Powerful Blows, then Godly Physique, Executioner, Weapons of Great Theft. Then in Endurance we are gonna max out Increased Vitality. This is super important. Unstoppable Rage. And 2 points in Furious Assault. Now, a special note. Carnage and Cruelty, you can use them. However, not with our Skarren mask. So if you plan to change Helm, because the Skarren mask will provide a form of self-healing. So if you change your Helm, you can use them, but not with this setup. In Dexterity, 1 point in Agility and 1 point in Athletic build. This is optional. I still like to get an extra dash. If you're using the Smuggler knife, then these points become mandatory. Okay, in Perception. If you're using my setup, then only 1 point in extra lucky. If you're not using the Oracle knife or you don't want to upgrade the Oracle knife, then you need to max for extra lucky for more crit. I will still max it regardless here, just in case people are short on crit. Then critical cascade, go for the AIs maxed, 1 point in respite, 2 points in Aegis. We do not take Bloodthirst. If you want to take Bloodthirst, that's fine, but it makes for HP management more annoying. Now, if you're using my setup and you're going with a dagger, then of course we're putting points in the dagger tree. If you're not using a dagger, then of course this is a no-no. 1 point only. 1 point in swiftness, max Predator Fang. This will give us a fat reward for using a dagger. Then max swiftness, only doing this order if you're short on points. And then nothing else here. This is not a status build. In practicality, you can do this early. However, inner strength will convert your endurance in melee damage, so you should do that. Let's max that born in armor. Softened by pain will give us a lot of damage reduction. 1 point in armored skin and 3 points in best offense. Now, our build is technically over. However, if you have extra point, then we want to get that unnatural resilience for more HP. So 1, 1, 1, 1. And that is it. You have 9 spare points. At level 61, you will get all the points that you need. If you want, you can double in the status tree. However, this is not necessary because you saw our damage. We scale HP on this build. However, if you do not upgrade, then you will probably have to switch things around and get those status effect points if you want. And this is pretty much it. I will still suggest people, however, to, if you want to play this build and push it, to go with upgrades. If you want to go cheap, then at least upgrade the Titanium Tonic and stack those HP for more damage. Everything else is secondary. Okay, let's look at our setup. This entire build works around one item. If you do not have this item, this build doesn't work. It's of course the Titanium Tonic. Anything else in this build can be replaced. Without the Titanium Tonic, we lose our source of damage. The other items that I highly suggest everyone to get, and this is mainly for convenience, is the Thornsword from Act 2. It's quite easy to get. This, however, is not a weapon we're gonna use in combat. We just switch to it, go around, wait a little bit, lose our HP, and then we switch back to our setup. Be careful to not kill yourself while doing this, because you can actually do that. So, it is what it is. This is a dual wield setup. Our other weapon that we can use is mainly up to you. I use Crimson Oracle to get my melee critical chance to 100. If instead of Crimson Oracle you want to use Duelist Blade, you can. Smuggler Knife, you can. However, you will need to change your setup because you will not hit 100% critical strike with this build. These are the weapons that I'm suggesting. The other important thing to know about this setup is that the axe needs to be paired with any other type of one-handed weapon except another axe, because otherwise we're gonna lose 20% damage from our adaptive combat. The weapons needs to be different. I choose a dagger because by default just having one dagger equipped will give you 50% critical damage and a little bit of attack speed. The other advised items are in order of importance. Plaguewraight cape that you get during the Red Death quest. Without going into spoiler, you will meet a mini-boss in the instance that has the same name of the cape. You kill him and you get that one. Skarren is quite good. You don't need to upgrade it to +7. Looking back, I should have probably pushed more upgrades on Titanium Tonic and forget the other one, just because with more upgrades, we get more damage just by upgrading this axe. You get Skarren in Act 3. by doing a small quest. It's not really that hard. You can get these at the same time that you get your Titanium Tonic. They're almost on the same way toward that quest. For armor, we're gonna use Titan Armor for more HP. This is an HP stacking build. As you can see, we almost have 800. You can have more HP than me with more upgrades, and if you do not kill Caradoc in the tutorial, that's already 10 HP you're gonna get when you meet him the second time in Act 1 in front of the Fallen Beast layer. Other items are all arguable. However, I'm gonna suggest you get Amber Regis Fragment +2. This is an amulet super easy to get in Act 1, super early item. The alternative to this would be Great Beast Bone, also an Act 1 item. However, this item only becomes worth it when you have more HP than me. As you can see, with Amber Regis I have 98. With Beast Bone I have 93. So it's up to you. As I said, you can go higher than me. Other items are gonna be Health Ring, the one from the tutorial. Arthur Seals from Act 1. However, Arthur Seals becomes more worth it, kinda like the Great Beast Bone, the more HP you have. Rest of the item, I used Sir Gawain, gauntlets, and boots. Sir Gawain is from the crypt in Act 2. After you finish Act 2, you can go there and you will get two sets. One is Sir Gawain and the other one is the Green Knight set. You can use them during leveling if you want. Why they are not upgraded? Because they will only give you more HP. The first line, the 90%, is useless to us. You can replace this item if you want. It's up to you. You could go with Duel Knight if you want. That is already a good increase. However, having a lot of HP is kind of important on this build because, especially if you want to be cheap on upgrades, then we're gonna use Duel Knight trousers. You can use the Crow's pants that you get in the Morrigan quest line in Act 3 if you side with Self at the end, and this is pretty much the entire endgame setup. Unlike usual leveling section, this is gonna be more about things that you should do and things that you should not do. On this build, you can skip the tutorial. It doesn't matter. As 1.5 patch, you will receive the HP ring and the HP statuette. If you play the tutorial, however, do not kill Caradoc. Instead, you meet him again in Act 1, here. Don't ask him for free information, just get the artifact, which is gonna be a free HP statuette. There is also another statuette that you can get from Keeper Lanzo here, and will only require you a small, very straightforward quest. You can find the location for all items, quest, on Map Genie. Just check the link in the description. Another important thing to do before you leave Act 1 is speak with Ugue in the Barbarian camp before you decide if you want to side with Galahad or not. You need to decide because if you side with Galahad and you do not buy this item, then you lose it forever. In Act 2, buy the same items from Bonksy and Filth. You can find them here. When you get into Act 3, also do not forget to do the Bear Shrine, which will give you 25 HP. In Act 3, there is also gonna be another free item that you can pick up here. Now, let's go through the location of every item in this build. Titanium Tonic is pretty easy to get. No quest requirement, you just walk there and then open the chest and you will be attacked. And then you can loot it from the mob's body. Skarren Mask and Crimson Oracle are tied to a quest. If you want more details, check the link to Map Genie in the description, or you can just follow it. The enemy is not particularly hard. Smuggler Knife is incredibly easy to get. It's an Act 2 item. As soon as you have access to the city, you can just go there and grab it. You can get Duelist Blade into location, which means that you can actually dual wield two Duelist Blades if you want. I did that for a while. One is super easy to get at the entrance of Act 2, and the other one is from a bounty in the Red Fortress, which is gonna be a little harder.
Back to your hovel, coward.
Thornsword is also from Act 2, from one of the bounty. You will need to go there anyway to progress in the main quest.
I'll face every threat. You'll be fertilizing the soil.
Now, to get the Plaguewraight cape, you need to start the Red Dead quest. I try to do this with as little spoilers as possible. Just go in the hospital, take the quest, follow the quest, and eventually you will fight this mob. Be careful because his attacks are slow, but they can easily one-shot you in veteran. Now, for the accessory, luckily, all of them are from Act 1. You can dig Arthur Seals extremely easy, no combat required. You can get Amber Rages +2 here. Great Beastbone is tied to quest as usual, no spoilers, just go there and accept the final reward.
Either way, good. Getting restless.
Titan's armor can be bought in Act 2 from the blacksmith. If the blacksmith is not available to you, you need to progress in the quest. You need to do this anyway because it all ties in the main quest, no spoilers. The second duelist can be killed at any time you are in Act 2, however, it's gonna be a tough cookie, so be prepared. And that is all. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, doubt, or anything, let me know in the comment. I will try my best to answer you. I know I already said this before, but if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and maybe consider subscribing. Have fun playing Tainted Grail, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!